Welcome to infintech, charting the future of banking. Organized by Logate, your painless vendor for digital journey, in partnership with Mastercard. Together towards tomorrow.
Oh, hello. Okay. This now works. So again, I'm not going to repeat what I just said. I think some of you heard me, but the lyrics of this song are supposed to remind us how far we came and how hard we worked to get there, and how there's no limit, or the sky is the limit, how much more we can do. And this is basically a motto of this conference as well, where we want to show that in this region we have the brain power, we have the IT tools, we have all the components to compete, okay, amongst ourselves, of course, but even more importantly, with a larger market, and we can compete on we can be a good competitors also outside of our region. So this is the message that we always want to show and translate from this conference, that together, collaborating and using our powers, we can do really great things. Secondly, I wanted in front of the moderators to thank them all, because they helped us a lot in setting up these conferences and setting up some great panels. Now, last year, I kind of did a thing where I used my, now 20 years ago, experience in sport broadcasting to announce my panelists. And it worked well, I would say, but especially because the audience was into it. So this time, I'll do the similar thing, not the same sport, so I'm not gonna repeat the same thing, but again, please help me, right? Without you, this won't work. So let me get into a character. You will recognize the sport pretty, easily. Let's get ready to rumble. From Belgrade, Serbia, representing AIK Banka, in the green corner, we please welcome Petar Jovanović, CEO. Petar. In the indigo blue corner, coming from Bayern Munich, Munich, Germany, representing NLB Crna Gora, Martin Life Leberle. Now in the sky blue corner, coming from Podgorica, Crna Gora, representing Lovćen banka, Miloš, Lucky, Miketić. I'm up all night to get lucky. We're up all night to the sun. We're up all night to get some. And in another green corner, coming both from Plav and Podgorica, Crna Gora, representing CKB banka, Dino, Funk.
Great. Do anyway.
Now we go to serious. It's a little bit of a. So thank you very much for being here, and thank you very much for working with us and wanting to talk with us and with the audience about some really, I think, important issues in the financial industry and in the banking. So I will start, Martin, with you. And I also would like, maybe if we can get a code for the Manti platform so that we can get audience involved as well on the screen. Okay, so you can scan the code, and then you can answer participate in giving your opinion on a few questions that I have, both for the panelists and for you. So, and let's start. So, Martin, do you think that I even won't use this digital transformation as a phrase? I think it's now getting pretty old. But do you think that doing all digital in banking, in your bank, in this region, is it already done, or where is it? How you see the situation regarding the being easy to use, all digital, all seamless?
Dobro jutro. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for the question. Very interesting indeed. This morning we were talking about history and we went back way, and I recognized I'm already part of history. I'm banking for more than 42 years, and I remember from my first annual salary in 1983, I bought a Commodore C64 computer. Maybe some of you have seen them in the museum. And this 64 stays for 64K. When I shaved this morning with my electric shaver from Xiaomi, I found out this has 128K already. So, but in 1983, I felt very cool and very digitalized. In 1999, I was working in the head office training department. I did training material, and I was the first user of a Macintosh Cube computer. This had already a mouse, and when I switched it on in the morning, it made this dong. And I felt super hip, and I arrived on digitalization. But of course, we are far away from that. Nowadays, my watch has a higher performance than this Macintosh computer 30 years ago. But back to your question. Digitalization is never over, never, because the world is developing. So, but to come to reality in our bank in NLB, where we are and where we want to be in the next step in the digitalization, we want to replace the stamp. We want to arrive in the post-stamp, post-paper, and maybe post-cash world. And still, we are a little bit far away from this. From our region, when we look out of the box, and sometimes we are looking out of the box, we find already pretty good examples of digitalization in Brazil, in the Baltics, and if we come closer, even in Poland. And we have to recognize that especially banks there are 10 years ahead of us, as a matter of fact, I believe. Why is this? In this country, the overall approach and acceptance of digitalization is much higher. So our region is quite conservative, and conservative is not bad. But our task is also to convince, to train our clients for the trust to use the technology, but first of all, to trust the technology. This, I think, is a very important step which we have to do to go further with the digitalization in our region. An obstacle, a big hurdle is that our regulation and legislation is still not world class. So we need a lot of improvements there. We can even currently not implement a digital signature. Full onboarding and even electronic distribution of account statement is still not standard. So these are the topics and challenges which we are facing. Ministries and public administration do not share, if they even have, a digital database. This is holding us back. For example, in consumer lending, it is very common in Montenegro and I guess also in neighboring countries to use a promissory note to tie the private person to his private loan, which I haven't seen in any other regions of the world. But we have to buy this form for the promissory note as a physical, as a paper from the central bank and to sell it to the client over the counter. So end-to-end digital selling of a loan product is very much limited. In Europe, it is possible to open a bank account in 5 minutes online on a smartphone. In Montenegro, in my bank, and I guess my colleagues might confirm this, I still need 5 to 8 paper documents to be signed. So there is a long way to catch up. We are working on this. Digitalization is by far not over, not in the region. It has to continue, but also worldwide.
Thank you very much. So also at the back, you can see, so this is the question also for the audience. Where are you, your bank, in the process of digital transition? And then we have the answers, as most of them say we will never be done. So it's pretty interesting. But Dino, for you, to continue, and please also comment on the question, answers from the audience, or on what your colleagues are saying. But on the front end side, I think things are being done much more faster than on the back end. Am I right? Is this your experience as well, that at the back end we need much more digitalization than what we have at this point?
Well, definitely, yeah, definitely. Back end and retail are not sexy things these days. Everybody would like to do front end customer experience topics and similar. And I believe that we have to deal with digitalization in the back end as well. Since I definitely see it, this process, this journey, definitely not a destination, but a journey, threefold, kind of how you interact with your clients, how you digitalize your products, and the third thing would be processes. And there I think definitely backend. So we will see now there is all hypes about new tech stack, about front-end API infrastructure. I mean, we see now open banking first results, I would say, quite mixed, both in the Europe, not to comment here. So I believe we need to catch up on that part, definitely. And I do believe and know actually that some of the groups and the regional banks, some of them even sitting here, are quite heavy in that part of core banking, making it ready to support all that we would like to provide to our clients at the front.
Okay, thank you very much. Petar, the next question for you. So, if it's not over, and the audience said it's never going to be over, how you see the banks and the banking in the next, let's say, when it's over, or it's almost over, how are we going to interact with the banks? What's your view?
I mean, it can never be over. So I cannot imagine actually this situation that it's over. So we saw this morning a presentation from Mastercard that we have a long history of digitalization of the e-commerce and the banking as well, and it will continue forever, especially for the banks who are seeking for the constant growth and constant development. I agree with the colleagues that situation is quite, I would say, not good in a region comparing to the best players in the class. And there's a lot of reasons behind. One of them could be regulation, but I have to say in Serbia we have quite advanced regulation, and this is definitely not the reason which is stopping us. I see two most important bottlenecks. One of them is coming from our history, coming from our legacy, which is extremely huge. All of these papers, all of these processes, all of these systems that we have in the past, we have a challenge to abandon them. And what we usually do, we try to create the processes, new digital processes around them. And we end up with, many middle layer complicated systems. Then we're putting some additional hundreds of satellite systems into the existing architecture, and we end up with a mess. But it's easy to blame. It's not easy to answer these questions and how to solve this puzzle. Also, changing completely your architecture, it's not easy. I mean, actually, the top 3 reasons the CEO can lose the job these days is to change core banking system. So I mean, the leadership is also kind of in a challenge how to approach this. But we have to find a way. We have to find a way to abandon the old story, which is dragging us behind, and which is actually creating competitive advantage for the fintechs which are not having these legacies. And this is the reason why fintechs, why neobanks are so much better in this sense. The second one is how do we approach digitalization and transformation itself. I think many banks are looking from an inward perspective, so they want to change the system, they want to change the way how they're doing the business, and that they're happy with the certain results. We change this system to that system, and our employees are more happy, they spend less time, and they have nicer screens. But if you look the impact on the customer experience, it's zero. So we have a lot of banks praising we are digital champions, we're best digital banks, we do this, we do that. But in the end, when you look the customer story, when you look the customer journeys, nothing changed. I was really depressed reading the PwC regional benchmark from last year, where there was a point regarding digitally initiated loans, not approved loans, not fully end-to-end without completely human involvement. It's just initiated loans. In our region, it's 7%. So until we find a way that in these day-to-day banking operations, like account opening for private individuals, for the small businesses, these cash loans, consumer loans, if we don't find a way to create these customer journeys within a minute, we're gonna lag behind, and we will not catch up the best players in the class. So, if I can describe in one sentence when I see the current digitalization status in a region, we put a lipstick on a hog, but it's still a hog.
Okay. Thank you very much for this vivid, plastic explanation. So Miloš, I kind of have almost the same question for you, but maybe to rephrase it a little bit. So is it an advantage to be, let's say, a smaller, maybe more faster, more flexible bank? So to adopt these technologies faster, to change faster, to streamline faster, or is it maybe disadvantage because of the size of the investments that are needed in order to, let's say, continue on this path of digitalization?
First of all, thank you for this beautiful event, and it is always a pleasure to be among you guys, and this is the place where actually ideas are popping up, and I'm sure that everyone will bring something new in its head after this conference. And back to your question, yeah, I'm coming from a bank which is not so big, which is local, and after some experiences previously in group banks, now I can compare and see what are the advantages and what are actually disadvantages. So I can only repeat what colleagues said about transformation. It will never end. You will need to change the name of the conference in that case, so it will be fintech or tech end or something like that. And we need to follow that. And Mr. Gabriel put in his presentation 2006 when actually the iPhone was launched. From that moment, everything has been changed, and from that moment, all software companies, all customer experience touching points start to change, and actually the bank as also customer service institution need to follow that. We here locally, at least speaking about my bank, we need to catch the market right now. And the good thing is that we can make it faster. So we don't have so complex structure of decisioning. So we need to see and to find a way how to do that in a smart way. From other side, yeah, you're right. This cost benefit need to be on the table. But for some, and actually for most things that we are speaking now, from my point of view, is the same dilemma as should Montenegro has the highway or not. So it cannot be, translated in pure business case. It can, but most probably someone will tell that it's too unrealistic business case. but you cannot go further. So I heard yesterday that some guy said about this question, you know, I cannot guarantee would you succeed with implementing all these things, but I can guarantee you when you collapse, that you will be aware that you collapse because you didn't do that on time. And
I pressed the button.
so is that
Sorry, no,
is that
no, this was just, just
my new
a
watch,
glitch, a glitch in the matrix.
okay, this is kind of test. So yeah, we need to follow that. Good thing is that now when you are behind, you will implement the best solutions, and we will do that for sure. And the flexibility that technology gives you is the way how we as a rigid organization with rigid core banking systems can overpass this issue with some satellite application which can actually make this data processing and data analytics in much smarter way than it would be and than it was actually until now.
Thank you. Maybe we can have also a second question also for the audience. And Petar, for you, and you gave me a great intro in your first answer. So with these hundreds of systems and different system applications, so when you look at the IT vendor, what main characteristic? I said here top 3, it doesn't have to be 3. You know, how when are you sure that this IT vendor is providing you a good service, or what are you looking to an IT vendor in order to have a good and successful cooperation?
According to my experience, the 3 most important factors that you need to look at, especially for the, let's say, incumbent, large, established bank. First of all, it's size. So I also had experience working with very small vendors, medium, regional players, and then large global vendors, and there's a quite big distinction. And there's strengths and weaknesses on both ends. So if it's too small, so you're always lacking resources, you're lacking stability. I mean, these vendors can disappear easy, end up wherever. But on the other side, with these small vendors, usually you get the best ideas. So the best ideas are usually coming from strange places. Then on the side of the big local global players, I mean, of course you have stability, you have cutting edge technology. There's you never have problem with the resources. You just have to pay a lot of money. But on the other hand, you're missing something which I find very important. It's called customization. So you're not most important client for them, so you're living in a small Serbia or Montenegro, and it's like they cannot find you on a map, not even know who you are, what do you do. So it's really hard to, when you have a problems and you need to tackle these problems, it's very hard to address senior management, get prompt response, and etc. So what I vote for and usually go for are regional players, mid-sized players, which are getting the strengths and minimizing weaknesses of these two ends. The second one is speed. I mean, speed of doing business and agility and the way how we are executing and do things together. And I agree what was mentioned earlier, that if you don't do business in an agile way today, I mean, cannot be successful. So, I mean, there's definitely, and it's not acceptable to have like a large functional specifications, ping pong between the bank and the vendor on a certain functions, taking like a month to develop certain small improvements and changes in a system. So, time to market shortened a lot. Release cycles are very, very often comparing to the previous period. So we need to find a way how to be much faster than we are in the past. So we need to have a vendor who is able to address these things. And the third one, it's like a solution. It's what the offering on a vendor in a way that it has to be cutting edge technology. It has to be latest technology, and this vendor also has to be ready to change the technology, because technology is evolving all the time and very fast. So we have to be able to move to another technology very fast. I mean, you cannot sync analog watch with a mobile phone. So we need to be able to come together very fast. So the solution which is providing the vendor, they have to be state of the art. And last but not the least, but I think it's really this utmost importance, it's people. And it's people, it's relations between the people, and the mutual trust. If you don't have trust in your lender, I mean, you cannot go far. So establishing this level of the cooperation with the mutual trust is, for me, at utmost importance.
Oh, those are great tips for us from Logate. Thank you. So we also have here also response from the audience between given an option to choose from local or international IT vendor, which criteria are the most important, and by far, support, flexibility, and easy understanding are of course, let's say in favor of local or localized or regional vendor. So Dino, a question for you then is, can local, regional vendors, can they compete with big names, I would say brands now, right, in the international ones? Is that possible? And what's your take and maybe an advice how to?
Well, I see there are practically three ways how to approach the digitalization and how to enhance in that area. One would be to build internal competence. The second would be to buy out-of-the-box solutions, cutting-edge technology, use it. And the third one, to build strategic partnerships, all long-lasting partnerships. And I do believe in this second way, especially being on a relatively small market, and also believing in the partners that through this relationship get to know you good. So I still believe in this part of relationship where two sides are supporting each other and growing together. And I believe that you can receive level and interest from this kind of players that you cannot receive from the big names, not even anymore regional ones, especially being like local player. So I do believe in this kind of development. I was looking around different good and bad examples. We have it in the group. In Slovenia, we have, for example, two bank members that are developing with two different partners, and you're receiving different feedbacks. And they have a success story with their partnership with a local mobile banking vendor. So I believe they can, and they can support, and especially in our situation, it would be a good approach. Although there is a threat for the small vendors, it's due to, again, size of the market and their ability to compete with the big players. They tend to over-customize and please the big guys, and not build their product as a proper product, So there is this kind of game not to go into too many customizations that definitely will jeopardize your product and offering and your relationship. And Montenegro, I don't know, I mean, to refer to the previous question, I like it more than this one, on two levels. First of all, in Montenegro, I mean, we are almost a decade from adopting e-signature legislation. We have a fintech strategy, and honestly, all that I feel is that, I don't know, I stopped wearing a tie, I started going into the jeans, colleagues got me a new iWatch. That's the effect in Montenegrin environment. So, and I believe it's a good that we sit and speak, and unfortunately, banking sector needs to cooperate more and to push legislation, because administrative capacities substantially are as is, and we do feel frustrated seeing a region, not overseas, but seeing a region where they are and where we are and where we could be. As a small, scalable community, easy to reach everybody, knowing everybody, we can be a hub of new things to invent and everything. And what we do these days, I believe all three of my colleagues, scanning and filling checkout lists and, you know, talking about OCR, sand pads, already technologies that we should simply skip and go on to the next level. So we should be kind of louder, which is not easy and popular, and really we have to do something because, you know, we can do it. I mean, we coming from the largest bank on the market, definitely we are not complacent with the fact that we are largest. We are feeling frustrated, and we really want to change us and the environment through these new approaches. And there are a number of cases where we simply cannot. You know.
Yeah, you gave me a great idea for next year in FinTech and the panel between you guys and the regulators. So to try to iron, really, you know, maybe some of these, because this is...
It would be. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, you know, but when I said FinTech, I really like FinTech. They push us, they have good ideas. Okay, they're very prone to understand what client wants. We in the bank, we try to understand what they really need, you know, because you have to derive value. Unfortunately, we cannot be too fancy, you know. We have to understand how to generate new value, yeah. Except for the ties that can be funky, but all the rest we have to provide appropriate returns for our investors, and in this way to be pillars of the economy, of the change and everything. But when you are a pillar, you're not very fast, you know, here and there.
Bedrock.
Yes.
Bedrock. Okay, thank you. Martin, what about how can local regional vendors go through decision-making in the banking groups? Because as I also hear some of the answers we hear, we can see that, you know, we always choose a proven brand, we cannot risk it, you know, the central office is dictating, you know, and this seems to be a pretty large obstacles for the local regional vendors to go through and to get the chance that they might or might not deserve. You know, how is your group dealing with that? You know, do you have also any advices for those type of vendors, how to approach a group and how to try to become a vendor?
Allow me one sentence related to Dino's speech. So Dino once saved my life, and today he made my day. And if your speech would be on paper, I would stamp and sign it. So I cannot more agree what Dino was saying.
But with the scan of the...
At NLB, we have a lot of experience over the last years working with local vendors and also global players. And local vendors can emerge, as we see with Logate, to global players. So that is all possible coming from that region. A very good example. Generally speaking, local vendors with capacities and capability to work for a mid-sized group like us have a clear advantage. Close to our market, language, understand of the peculiarities of our region, that is really an advantage. And we also like to work with even smaller partners, newcomers, startups, as long as they have convincing ideas and products. To be number one client for a local vendor is a very nice feeling. To be number 100 client of a global player is already different. So it's much closer access, the colleague said this, so there are a lot of advantages from a local player. However, the regulation is becoming tougher, and the regulation for the finance sector is also spilling out to our suppliers. So we have to, according to our risk policies, according to our investors' requirement and to the especially regulator, we have to make clear and sure that we are cooperating with transparent companies, reliable companies. We have to make in-deep risk analysis. We have to have a plan B in all cases. So we require that our partners, our vendors, stick to this. Have a proper balance sheet and have a transparent business. And even do an ESG report nowadays. These standards are prerequisite. And of course, professional and reliable performance, but then we are more than ready to cooperate. So not only trust is important, but also proof of the business background on this. And not to forget, there is also a kind of an insourcing trend. At NLB Group, we have currently around 8,000 colleagues. 800 of them have on their business card written IT. But we have many more modelists, data translators, data scientists already. And in Belgrade, we have our group IT hub, NLB Digit, which is not only in administration and coordination, but also in developing. So there is also, we are not only potential clients of you, we are also kind of competitors already.
Bring it on, for the competition. So, Miloš, what do you think are so we talked about outside of our region, where others are, and maybe some of the trends in the banking industry that you see outside of our region that you think will be implemented here. What you think will be implemented, what trends you think are not really suited for us because of the market size, history, tradition, and all other things, the legacy systems.
Well, actually, I need to come what Dino mentioned, because it's a precondition for this kind of thing. So there is a bunch of things around us which can be implemented and which is actually available. And the sad thing is that you in Montenegro has software companies that already created some products that are sold outside of Montenegro, and actually that are works in a way that cannot work in Montenegro. So first, and yeah, we need to be louder. We need to make situation in Montenegro supportive for the innovations in banking sector. And we would like in these days and in next days, we will for sure automate it a lot in the onboarding, KYC identification process, because it's a hot topic, which is good and it should be like that. But we would like to see the same energy and the same support to bankers to make further steps. So yeah, we should make everything possible through the online and digital channels. We don't have to push clients with such technology to come and visit branches, to sign some papers, to be identified, and so on and so forth. Just one example to prove that actually company updated its documentation out of all database and sites that you can approach and check that, we need as a proof to print current status that someone from the bank need to put the signature on that physical paper, to scan, upload, and we have digitalized status of documentation in the company. Speaking about what I see as something which will come, I see the improvements, especially on payment method sides. So you have actually Mastercard Send, Visa Direct, PSD2 is launched. So it will change actually the ground for the changing the way how we're going to transfer money in Montenegro is there, and I believe that in next years the biggest progress would be visible on that field. I hope and I'm sure that it will be also in data analytics and processing, so we would be able to make tailor-made offers for our clients. We would be able to make various touching points where you would be able to fulfill your financial or whatever need related to the banking services, and that should make this customer experience much easier, and I believe that it will help us also to change perception of bankers. Banks are rigid organization, were rigid organization, and some of them are still are, and the rest are trying not to be. With fintech solutions, and my prediction is that actually fintechs and banks would cooperate more. I don't see them as strictly competitors. Banks, we see that Apple and Google entered this business. We know that some banks, actually some mobile companies establish banks, but yeah, they connected and they build their business case on the number of clients, and that is the base ground for everything. For fintech, it's really hard to come to that client base. Banks has client base. From other side, we cannot be focused on particular products as fintechs can, so it should be some kind of cooperation, collaboration, and I believe that that can maximize benefits for all sides. Speaking about your second question, yeah, when you told me that you will ask me that, I have to admit that you make me research a little bit because it's easy to tell that in Montenegro, you know, speaking about some advanced services which are related to much bigger markets, it's easy to tell that. But I was trying to find something which is sympathetic, and I found one bank in America, fitness bank. So they have this benefits for clients connected to the number of steps and activities that they made on daily level, and benefits with all kinds of benefits. So for deposits, some preferred rates and so on. And I'm pretty sure that in Montenegro there would not be a business case for that. so maybe some 3B bank like bed breakfast bank or something like that can work. But yeah, I am sure that fitness bank cannot succeed in Montenegro.
That's a pretty good answer. Thank you. Dino, now this is I prepared this question for you. Now I'm trying to rephrase it because of your last answer. Because the original question was, is there room for traditional banking still, or in the future there will be room for that? But from your answer, I think you're fed up a little bit with the traditional banking. You want to move into a more, I don't know, but okay, but then...
And I wasn't clear.
Yeah, okay, so then please answer that question. Do you think that, let's say that the things get much easier to implement new technologies and new ways of digital banking, do you still think that there will always be room for traditional, you know, mano to mano, to say that, you know, banking?
So, I mean, we should first define what traditional bank means. I mean, I'm in jeans, so I don't know, am I traditional? So, I first of all, I heard a lot, I mean, everybody heard a lot, I don't know, Bill Gates, whomever, we will need banking, but will we need the banks, and so on and so forth. And I don't see much changing, honestly. I see only, okay, a lot of new players would like to do banking, but nobody would like to be a bank, you know. Wouldn't like to be regulated, wouldn't like to be capitalized properly, wouldn't like to be, you know, to do externalizations, and so on and so forth. So not much really changed over there. So I believe, I mean, I don't know, maybe there is a black swan around the corner, but if I knew, it wouldn't be a black swan. But I do believe banks are here to stay, and there is a room. And I believe that we have a quality to, once again, understand what client needs and the way they need. And we will have a tradition of innovation, common sense innovation. And we will be there. We will be cornerstone of the economies. We will, you know, transfer savings into proper investments, reasonable, you know, good investments, better and better, you know. We will move money where it's needed, when it's needed. So I believe that the banking will stay there, you know. And as of today, from the again Montenegrin perspective, I mean, we are where we are. You know, if you ask me, I don't know. It would be an interesting question. Would the colleagues give through 3 solid branch managers or branches for better propensity to buy model? I don't know. I'm not sure. So common sense is there to stay, and I believe that the banks will there. We will be a bit more embedded, you know, maybe. We will be more seamless behind the scenes, you know, when you do one click or similar payments, so you will not know that there is maybe a bank. They will take us for granted, as often they do. But we will be there. We will certainly be there, and that will be a good thing, I do believe. one interesting, Miloš meant, and I will finish that, it's about big techs, you know, and their influence. So I was looking, it's a good example regarding your questions. I was just reading a headline, so I saw this Apple thing about piling up, I don't know, 10, 14 billion of deposits in 4 months. Like, I don't know, other neobanks needed 10 years, months, whatever. And they did it in 4 months. And I thought, wow, really, you know, maybe not fintechs, but big techs, you know. And so after the dinner, when the electricity came back, I was checking out this headline, and I understood that behind this new deposit product of Apple, there was Goldman Sachs Bank, okay? And then I checked the interest rate, it was 4.5. So it's again about the business, you know, it's not that hype, it's, you know, conscious business decisions, I don't know. Somebody in Apple Treasury understood that there is, you know, T-bill, it's on 5.5, and they understood, okay, let's do a deal with Goldman Sachs and so on and so forth. But it was the bank, you know, in the behind. So how we will evolve, we will see, but we will stay and we will be here, and it's a good thing, believe me.
That's a pretty good answer on a very simple question. And we can have also a third question for the audience, and then Petar, for you, from my perspective, also a very interesting question. So what about the trend of, let's say, localization or regionalization of the banking in the region, where homegrown banks are becoming bigger and larger? By the way, Ike bought the bank that I worked for, so no grudge there. But Ike is a very good example of a homegrown bank which is expanding very strongly, and some of the large European banks are exiting basically the market. So do you think that we will have much more local and regional champions, or maybe in a few years, in a different circle, big banks will come back to this market? What's your take on that?
An angle looking the fact that in this region we really don't have global banks. Yeah, so we have foreign-owned banks, but they're mostly focusing on the Central Eastern Europe. Why is that? It's a hard truth. We're small markets. We're very small markets. And it's a small difference between the Serbia, Montenegro, Slovenia, Macedonia. It's just economy scale does not work here. And I don't see possibility actually these kind of players entering the market soon. Any other, I would say, pan-European bank. Maybe, and I hope this will happen soon, once the region join the EU, that we're going to end up with certain players coming here on a single passport basis. So their headquarters is in Latvia, but they'll come work in Serbia and Montenegro. And I think maybe it's good that it's not going to happen soon, because I think in this conference next year, half of the audience will not be here. So will be taken by some other players. When you look the foreign-owned bank currently present in the region, I think they're more looking the region as their backyard, due to the cultural connections, due to the historical connections, economic relations, and etc. But for their decision, are they present in the market or not, I think it's more emotional or political decision than business decision, to be honest. And we're witnessing actually quite number of European banking groups exiting the region. So you don't see any more French banks in the region. Solgen is out, Credit Agricole is out. You don't see Greek bank groups in the region at all. So the last one is acquired by Ike Bank last year. So completely none of them. And for the existing ones, I mean, of course, it's a decision of their headquarters. But currently, we're living in a kind of fairy tale where everybody is performing exceptionally well. We never saw in history actually this kind of returns, 20, 30, some of the banks 40%, I see in Montenegro as well. So and with these numbers, you don't need to exit, we're here to stay. But I think from last year, when interest rates will rapidly start to go down, you will end up with your OPEX, which went hard last couple of years, and then I think we're gonna kick additional circle of the M&As and probably exit of some banking groups from the region. This is my personal feel. And because of that, I really see that there's going to be a certain M&A opportunity for the local banks, for the regional banks, which are, I have to say, on rise. We see like iBank doing a lot of acquisition the last couple of years also, and it'll be getting stronger and stronger in the region. But it's also a fact that when you look to Central Eastern Europe, from Poland, to Hungary, to Romania, like local and regional players are playing really significant roles in their economies and their markets. And it was not a case in our region. The question is why? The question is like 90s, what happened, and we're missing a certain know-how and the capital and everything. But I think times changed. And now there is no reason not to have such a strong local regional players like we have in Central Eastern Europe, for examples.
Thank you very much. So here we have the answer from the audience that will a banking group from the region become a dominant market player and continue expansion beyond Balkan area? And most of the people said if it becomes dominant, it will be bought by a larger player. So Martin, that's basically a question for you that I had. Do you think that outside of our region, you know, the group can go at least to what Petar said, CE, at least Central and Eastern Europe, to become even larger? Is that possible? Do you see that coming?
I believe this is possible, and I believe that we see that already. So in our region, there is no city, there is no HSBC. We are too small, exactly as Petar said. And maybe they have this potential of our region not yet on their radar. If they have it on their radar, they already invest in us through their investment arms in our shares. So they become our shareholders, which is also a good thing, but they understood that this is more a local market, and the local players, and some of them sitting here around the table, they fit better to this market and they have more possibilities here. And that is a real chance for the regional champions. And these regional champions, they see the opportunities in the concentration and consolidation of the banking market here. So that is a trend which we have seen over the last years, and we were all part of this. And I think this is not over, that will continue. And also the Western Balkans is not the limit, so it goes further. And when you see recently that the bigger European guys are leaving some countries like UniCredit, like Raiffeisen, they're changing slightly their strategy, so that gives additional potential and chances for us, and I believe we are ready to grab them. We have the trust of our shareholders, we have the trust of our clients, and we have the financial means to do that. So we are all good positioned to use these opportunities which the market is giving us now. On the other hand, we have to watch out not to fall behind. So we have to close the technology gap as well as the client experience gap. And it would be nice if we have a level playing field related to regulation. Otherwise, on the day when a Montenegrin client finds out that he can open an account with Bank of China, and the central bank can't stop him from doing that, we have a real competition which we can hardly compete with. But also we should not forget that there is another challenger. It is the fast fish that eats the slow fish.
And maybe just a quick follow-up question. So UniCredit desire to buy Commerzbank, right? It's not really greeted, how can I say, fondly in Germany and by German government. How, for example, we are far away from the Germany, so, but what do you think? Is that a good thing to kind of stop those mergers, or these mergers should happen?
You mean these regional mergers here?
No, UniCredit and Commerzbank. UniCredit wants to buy Commerzbank, but the German government is not really keen on that.
If I speak from my heart, I was growing up in a regional bank in Bavaria, which was called Hypovereinsbank. Later we merged with Bank Austria Kreditanstalt, and we were very proud about our relationship banking approach and things like this. And when we merged and when we were bought by UniCredit, that was a totally new experience. And I'm not sure if we have a fit in the corporate philosophy of UniCredit and Commerzbank, but this is their problem, not my problem anymore.
Okay, thank you. And Miloš, from my side, the last question is, what is your next step in this digitalizing, let's say, path of your bank, or, without AI and maybe with AI? What are your future plans?
Next year, I will tell you about AI. I hope. We are at the beginning of the process of implementation CRM solution with the loan origination. So this is our next most important goal. After that, I expect to have investment in data warehouse. So as precondition for some other features, and AI, it's hard for AI to come without this. It's not basic things, but definitely you need to properly set up these processes and to think about future innovations. But this is something which we need as a bank to not only to catch the market, but to optimize our processes in sale, in bank, and on the all aspect of the bank.
Thank you. I see here zeros, but I would really like to at least get one question from the audience for you guys. So there's a hand, I think, up there. Yeah. Is there anybody with the mic? Mm-hmm.
No. Hi, my name is Igor. I am from the Belgrade office of the Polish Investment and Trade Agency. So we're a government agency from Warsaw, but we have representative offices in Zagreb, in Belgrade, Sofia, and Athens in this part of the world. We have a lot of companies, fintech, not yet banks, that are trying to enter the Balkans. We know this is a segmented small market, so all non-EU markets in the region are smaller than Romania. And I think someone brought this up. Is there a channel for all these companies who are willing to, quote unquote, risk with the tough regulators, with, I think Martin referred to a conservative market. Is there a path for all these companies that are willing to work with the local companies in the region for them to interact with you? Because the feedback we're getting, and we just went to a big forum in Warsaw, is that it's incredibly tough for them to even get through to talk, let alone get to the commercial stage. I just wanted to kind of reiterate that even though this is a small market, there are companies that are very, very hungry to enter. So someone mentioned that there are the big players in terms of vendors, and there are the small, tiny players in the market. Well, there's also a third category that's looking towards new exciting markets, even if it means, let's say, a slow path, but it means for them to be permanently present in the market. So keep us in mind. There are people that would like to be a part of this whole journey with you. Thank you.
Okay, I think this is more of a comment, right, than the question. And unfortunately, I know that we will have many more questions, but we have.
The question was: is there a channel for, or do you have like labs in your banks? Is there a channel for the small vendors to interact with you and to pitch ideas to you? That's the question.
Okay.
Okay, I can partly get it. Yes. So many banks are having their labs, accelerators. They're organizing startups, events, and they're investing certain time and resources into this cooperation. But to be honest, are there certain successful stories in the region? Not so much. First of all, I think banks are not honest in this relationship. They're saying they want to cooperate, but then when you come to the cooperation, due to many reasons, this cooperation is not happening in a real sense. And also, startup ecosystem in a region is on rise, but it's not on the level that we see in the European markets. But I think banks here locally, they're very open to cooperate. We don't put a flank or the market characteristics under the vendor. If the vendor is fulfilling these requirements that we're talking today, of course that we are ready to cooperate. We are open to hear and to see any good solution which is meaningful for the implementation.
Martin, you wanted to also...
19th of November, we have the annual meeting of the German Montenegrin Business Club, and one of the topics is to present to our members startups from the region and around, which can help Montenegrin business to develop. So you are welcome.
Thank you all. Thank you also very much. It was a great panel from my side. Thank you so much. I hope to see you next year.